Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm gonna have to get a little paper. How is everyone doing tonight? I figure we can go over a little business structure so we can kind of get our businesses together. I bought some new pens, and of course I don't have them. Okay, so if you have a business related question, if you could put it in the, not in the chat, but put it in like the little thing where there's questions so that I can kind of look at those easily. I have too many people to be reading all of the little comments. So if you have a question regarding business structure, put that in the little comment thing. But let's get into business structure, okay? So when you think of business structure, you got to think of like putting an armor around you. Okay, so a lot of times we think, well, you know, my business is small, I'm not making a lot of money. To be honest, forming your LLC and getting your structure is to really be protecting you. And when I say protecting you, I'm meaning protecting your assets, your money in the bank. You don't want to be getting judgments against you. You don't want to be being sued and losing your personal assets, okay? You don't want your paycheck to be garnished. You don't want people forcing you to, you know, sell any kind of property and seizing cars or jewelry or those kinds of things, okay? So business structure is important so that we are protecting you, okay? So now, don't be trying to buy my Picassos, okay? Business structure is really putting armor around you. And so I want to make sure that you understand all the different layers of armor you should be having to make sure that you are protected. I'll also get into if you have a business that is, you know, of course, how we protect our business and the business cash flow and business assets. But number one, asset protection, business structure is to protect you. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is, of course, form our LLC. We want to make sure that we form our LLC, though, correctly. Okay. So number one, we do not want to have a high-risk industry name. Having a high-risk industry name is not a deal breaker. It is not going to affect your asset. It's not going to affect your business structure. It will maybe limit how much approvals you are able to get for business funding. But if you're forming a new LLC, you may want to think about having a generic name if you're in a high risk industry. Okay. So our high risk industry, they're going to be industries that bank deem high risk due to the either what they're doing or due to the high risk of filing bankruptcy. So real estate, transportation, trucking, logistics, that shouldn't be in the name. Car dealerships, credit repairs, CBD, tax preparation, those kinds of industries we don't really need in our name. If they are in your name, we are going to be okay. You know, there's a method around the madness, but you know, first we want to have a nice corporate name. Okay. If you do not want to do business in your corporate name, so let's say my business is trucking. I may have Joyce Enterprise LLC as my corporate name, but I may have a DBA or an assumed name or a fictitious name agreement in the name of Joyce Trucking. Okay, so a DBA, an assumed name, a fictitious name, those are all different things that different states call what a DBA would be for the LLC. So you can do business in a different name than what your corporate name is. Okay, so I see people putting questions in the chat. Can you put the questions like in that little comment section so when I check them, I can kind of see them real quick? Thanks. Okay, so we're going to first form our LLC to protect us. We're going to get our layers of protection against our assets, okay? Then we're going to form our corporate, our LLC. We're going to have a nice general name or a high risk name, screw it, whatever you want. Okay, third, we need to make sure that we have a business address. Okay, so if you have a brick and mortar, if you already have an office space, if you have a business location, you can put that location. If you are working out of your home, you have a home office, we are slanging and banging at home, that's fine. Every business, though, needs to have a business address, okay? Number one, if you put your home address on your LLC documents, Am I back? Okay, I'm back. So, if you put your home address on your LLC documents, number one, your home address will be on the World Wide Web, okay? So if you don't want people rolling up to your house, then you may not want to have your home address on your LLC documents. Number two, when it comes to, getting business credit or business funding, post all of the pandemic fraud, underwriting is now doing another layer of verifying to make sure you have a real business. Yes, you can make a lot of money out of your house. However, you are going to need to have a business address to make your business look what they call credible, verifiable, or bankable. Okay. So if you are working from home, then you need to get something called either a business address or a virtual address. Not a P.O. box. So we're not going to a postal service. We're not going to the UPS store. We're not going to the post office and getting us the P.O. box. A virtual office will be like a co-working space. When you walk in, it'll have a company's name on the background. You can rent out conference rooms. You can rent out office suites. But they are a business that will allow you to use their address. They're going to charge you between like $30 and $60 a month, depending on what company you use. And they will receive all the mail for you. And they will also email it and scan it to you so you don't have to go over there. Okay. So Regis, Opus, iPostal addresses come up as a P.O. box, so we do not want to use that. You want to make sure that you have a virtual address, okay? So if you have maybe put your home address on your LLC information on accident, I got you. I'll put the link in this when I post this live. I am saving this live for those who want to know. I'll put the link in this live. You can go to my website. I have a mini webinar that walks you through how to do an amendment to, take off your home address and put your business or your virtual address on your LLC documents. Your girl got you. Okay. So you want to have a nice name. We want to have a business address on our LLC documents. The business address needs to go if you're an LLC member. Some articles or organizations will show the member's name and address. We don't want our home address on there. The home address on your LLC as a LLC member is not going to affect you for funding. We just don't need people, rolling up to your house. But for your registered agent or your LLC address, that needs to be a business address. You don't want to Google that address and an apartment or a home come up when they Google that address. So if you've made that mistake, you can check out my how to correct information on your LLC mini webinar. It's like $39. I'm going to walk you through how to change that information. And then you also want to take your home address off of your EIN. So if you use the same address to get your EIN number, this is not affecting business structure. This is just making your paperwork just look on point. You would want to change your home address from being on your EIN and putting your business address just so that everything is consistent. Your LLC address and your EIN information is the same. Now, I get a lot of questions regarding a registered agent, okay? So every LLC, every corporation has to have an officer called a registered agent. A registered agent is just a person who's saying, I am going to collect mail for this company. Okay, so this person, if you give mail to this person and at this address, that constitutes the LLC receiving this documentation. Okay, well, who's going to be mailing you information? The state's going to mail you information on if you are late on filing your annual reports, any kind of correspondence regarding your LLC with the state will be sent there. If you are getting sued, this is where service of process has to take place. Meaning, if you're being sued, they have to hand the lawsuit to either the registered agent. Every state has different requirements. They have X amount of time. So the process server, the person who's going to hand you the documentation, has so many times to come to that address to hand the person who is the registered agent the lawsuit. If they aren't there, that I think it's like three times for most states. If they aren't there 3 times, they can then leave the lawsuit at that address. Okay. If you had a virtual address that you stopped paying on, so if they're not accepting your mail, and that's the address you have in your LLC documents, we need to update the information. If maybe you had a business address for your registered agent's address, but you then moved to a different location, you need to update this address. The most important address on your articles of organization or your certificate of formation or your LLC documents is going to be your registered agent, because this is where the lawsuit is coming. Well, I don't care about no lawsuit. Let me tell you why you need to care about a lawsuit. Every state has a requirement that you have to respond to a lawsuit within X amount of days, or the other party will win based on what they call a default judgment. Okay, most states is going to be 30 days. So once that service processor leaves that lawsuit at that address, that's when the time starts clicking. You have 30 days to file an answer or file a response, or the other party wins. Okay, so the other party sued you for 10 unicorns, a frivolous lawsuit, but you didn't respond. You will then lose that lawsuit. Then they can go into the execution of a judgment, meaning, hey, I won by default, so now let me come get this money in your bank account. Turn in this car so I can sell it. What jewelry, what art do you have? What can I put my hands on that you have so that I can sell it so I can get my judgment? So you want to make sure, and I tell people every year, check your articles of organization, check your certificate of formation, make sure that the person and the address you have for your registered agent is current. If you are paying a registered agent to be this service. So there are companies that will say, hey, you can use us as your agent and the address. But a lot of times you make that first payment when you form the LLC, and then, they may have an old address, an old email. You forget to re-up the next year, and then they're no longer going to be serving as your registered agent. You want to make sure that if you hired this company, look on your documentation, your articles, or your certificate of formation to see it's going to have the company name and address. Make sure you are paying them. Okay, before you get this virtual address, you need to have a registered agent, because this is where the lawsuit is coming. Okay, so a little recap. We want to have a nice generic name. We need to have a business address. Even if you're making millions from home, we're going to go ahead and get a virtual address. You want to make sure that we have a registered agent. Either it could be you or a company being your agent, whatever. And you want to make sure that we don't have our home address on any kind of LLC documentation, just so that you don't, have your information out on the World Wide Web. If you need to change any of this information, you can. It's going to be called filing an amendment. You'll go to your Secretary of State. You'll file an amendment. The filing fee is normally between, I would say, $15 and $100, depending on your state. I have a mini webinar on my website for $39 that will walk you through how to change that information. Okay, so we have our LLC. The next thing we need to have is going to be our EIN. Now, another big misconception of the EIN is people think that the EIN means something. Well, I had this EIN for 6 years and I don't want to change it, baby. The EIN is not going to be the date that the business is registered. The LLC documents, your articles or your certificate of formation, those are going to be, that's the date of the effective registration date for the LLC. So you can have a 50-year-old EIN. That doesn't mean anything. When you form your LLC, you will need to then get a new EIN in the name of the business, okay? So 9 out of 10 times, if you were a sole proprietor, meaning you were just doing business as yourself, maybe a DBA, and you get your LLC in the same name as your DBA, on that EIN at the end of the name, it's not going to say LLC. So an LLC is like a new person. So it has to match your name. So if my name is Joyce Trucking LLC, on my EIN, it has to say Joyce Trucking LLC, not just Joyce Trucking. So we have our LLC with our correct information on it. We have our EIN. The third document that a lot of people forget when they're forming their own LLC is going to be called an operating agreement. Well, what's that? An operating agreement is going to be the contract for your LLC. It's going to determine how things are ran, how the profits are distributed. It's kind of like that dot in that I and that cross in your T to make everything proper and formal. Remember, in my Picasso illustration, business structure is to protect you. So we want to have as many layers of protection around you and your assets. Okay, so your LLC is going to be, like that first layer. Then we got our EIN. Okay, girl, you got it. Now we got our operating agreement, okay? If you are getting sued, the first thing opposing counsel is going to subpoena is your operating agreement. Do you need your operating agreement right this second? Some states you do, some states you don't, okay? So your operating agreement, some states require you to file it. A lot of states don't require the operating agreement, but some banks will require the operating agreement to open up a bank account. But wherever you keep your corporate documents, you're going to keep your operating agreement right there with your EIN information. If you want to keep all your stuff organized, the men on this live, y'all need to have this vault. Put it in a notebook because, men, y'all are not the most organized things, okay? So on the vault, I'm going to give you where you can kind of keep passwords for your computer, your logins, and then we're going to keep all of our legal documents, your LLCs, your EIN, your permits, your sales tax, everything in just one stop, okay? Because y'all be putting paperwork everywhere, and then when it's time for stuff, y'all don't have nothing. So I used to work with men, so I just, hey, baby, here it is. So everyone needs to get all my men, y'all need to get a vault, okay? A digital download, or get you a little notebook, a little file folder, but keep all of your documents in one spot, okay? So your EIN, your LLC documentation, so your articles or your certificate of formation, your operating agreement, for my men, our sales tax ID. You need to have a piece of paper that has all your logins, okay? So your banking login, the app login, the computer login, any kind of software login. You don't have time to always be asking your secretary, your assistant. If your right-hand person were to just fall out and die, what are you going to do to run your business, men? Okay? A lot of times, y'all are always dependent on that assistant. And baby, if she gets sick, she can't stop the money, okay? So you want to have everything in one little spot for you to put your hands on. You gotta go run to the bank. Bam, you got your documentation. You're not looking around. You're just not, oh my God. You have everything just in one little spot, okay? Just so that we are just organized, okay? If you're also a girl who's not organized, maybe just get you, it's like for your corporate documents, for all your business stuff, your licenses, your permits, just keep everything in one spot, okay? So when you got to go pull up something, it's just right here. Especially if things have to be renewed, insurance. So in here, I'll have your insurance agent's information, what's the policy number, what's the phone number, who's your landlord, who's the janitor. So if a hurricane were to happen, an earthquake were to happen, a fire were to happen, you can kind of grab this one thing and your business is still good. You have all of your information just in here. See, I tell honey, I used to work with men. I know y'all don't have nothing together. But anywho, so we're gonna have our EIN, we're gonna have our LLC documents, and we gotta have our operating agreement. If you don't have one, I have some templates on my website, but you gotta have your operating agreement. You're gonna keep all that with you with your corporate documents. Okay, so now these are our layers. And I got to add one more. Now, the next thing to make things official is we got to get that business bank account. Okay. So every time we're doing something with our LLC, as far as following the corporate formalities, we're just adding another layer of protection against us. Okay. So when you got to have a business bank account, the business bank account needs to never have a negative balance. Okay. So I don't care what's going on in life. Your business bank account can never be negative for this reason. When it comes time for funding, a lot of the funding, especially funding that is based strictly on the business EIN, besides wanting 3 months or 90 days of bank statements, they're going to do a check for the last 4 months. And if you've had any negative balances, you're going to automatically be denied. Okay, so y'all can scroll down my page. I talk about why it's so important to have multiple bank accounts, because it's hard to manage money that's coming in and coming out, coming in, coming out, coming in, coming out. You think you have $100 in the account, but then a chargeback comes in. You know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure that I always have income in one account. I write my expenses out of another account. The expense account is the account that's going to go negative. Okay. So when you're swiping that card, when you're writing those checks, if you're not balancing it, to a T, that's the account that may be negative. That income account is going to strictly just be your credit card deposits and your cash deposits. This should never be negative unless you get some kind of insane chargeback. Okay, so the income account is going to be the bank statement that we're going to be taking to the bank to get financing. So since there's nothing coming out of that account, it should never be negative, so we should be good. There is something called a bank rating. So the bank is going to rate your business based on how much deposits are normally in the bank and what kind of balance your account normally carries, and if you have any NSF or negative balance days. Okay, so if we just aren't good with money, if we just can't get it together, if we're that kind of overdraft, person, I hear you, but on this business account, we need to kind of, just get it together real quick. Okay, so we are walking into, we are all multi-million-dollar business owners. We got to act accordingly. So sometimes we got to kind of, put to rest our little childish ways, so we can kind of go over here and run up the bag and be treated for real. Okay, so we cannot have a negative bank balance. We need to have a business bank account, and the business bank account is going to be your business resume. Nobody wants to hear how much you did in sales, what you're doing. They're going to ask for everything to be in black and white, meaning bank statements, okay? And before you think you're about to have Kiki and them print out them fake PDF bank statements, from around the corner, they're going to have a special software where you log into your online bank account to pull that bank statement, okay? So I know no one on this live would ever do that, but in case you heard somebody at the barbershop say, I got someone that can do bank statements, that's not going to work. Okay, so you want to have a business bank account that is going to reflect the income of the business. Okay, so for all of I'm gonna put the cash in the safe, or my mattress. I don't want to show everything. When it comes to business, you have to show what the business is making. So the cash needs to go in the bank. Any cash that doesn't hit that bank account, you don't get credit. So this is what's going to happen, especially in a cash heavy business. Okay. So if you're a car dealership, if you're a barber, if you do something where you get a lot of cash. Okay. So I know car dealerships, we get a lot of cash for down payments, right? It's real easy to get a $5,000 down payment, and then you want to hit up the mall and get something, or you go by Walmart and get something, you go and pay a bill. So you made the money, but you don't get credit for the money because it never hit that bank account. So as we are multi-million-dollar business owners, we have to run our business like it's Walmart. We have to run our business like it's Sam's Club, okay? So at the end of the night, when Walmart takes in all the cash, is someone putting it in their pocket and going to go run errands? Is whoever, now that Walmart is not 24 hours, when they close up at night, is the manager taking the money and then going out to the hookah lounge and then, balling and getting bottles? Like, what is that manager doing with that cash? It's going into the bank, okay? And once that cash hits the bank, you get credit for it. So let's just say I made $30,000 this month just in down payments, okay? But it didn't hit the bank. Well, then I didn't make $30,000. So you want to make sure it's to your benefit to have every dollar hit that bank. Now, once it hits the bank, you can go pay your bills. You can go to the hookah lounge. Wherever you're going, you can go. But it needs to hit that bank so it hits that bank statement, okay? In business, everything's going to be black and white. Pull this bank statement up. That's how much you made. They don't want to hear, let me pull up my Cash App and someone has Zelled me to my personal account. And then, see, Walmart, okay? We can't Zelle the CEO of Walmart our payment, okay? We can't, we can't Cash App to someone's personal account at Neiman's and be able to buy something, okay? So we have to make sure that we're running our business. Think Walmart, okay? Walmart, Neiman Marcus, Sam's Club. What is a $1 billion business? How are they running their business? Okay, so cash people, barbers, nail techs, gardeners, janitorials, car wash, whatever. The cash has to hit the bank. Okay, so back to our little chart. This is you with your money, your car, all your assets. So we got our LLC, we got our EIN, we got our operating agreement, we got our business bank account that reflects the income of the business. Now, I'm gonna add one more layer. This will be industry specific, but we need to have business insurance. Okay, so if your industry requires you to have some kind of insurance, so car dealerships, you got to have a garage policy on the vehicles that are there, trucking. If you are doing any kind of service or you have any kind of, if you have commercial property, a lot of people are going to require general liability insurance policy. Insurance is a must. Okay, now, let me be in my little soap opera. There are several different types of insurance. Insurance, once again, protects you. Okay, so I know there's some people who believe in cutting the cost and, being frugal and I'm trying to trim all the fat, and that's good. But insurance is something that we do not want to trim because insurance protects you. But here's the gag on insurance. If you get insurance, 9 out of 10 times you won't need to use it. But if you don't have insurance and something does happen, it can take you out. Okay, so if you have any kind of commercial property, you want to make sure you have a general liability policy. Okay, so if someone comes and falls and breaks their neck, the insurance company is going to is going to be able to insure you. If you are doing a service on someone, okay, you want to look into an errors and omissions policy. Okay, what if you made a mistake and you put the wrong type of relaxer on the girl's hair and then all her hair just burnt out? Okay, if you're in trucking, you want to have errors and omissions. What if you dropped a load off at the wrong place and then now that load was delayed? Well, who do you think's paying for that mistake? Who you think's gonna have to pay for however the let's just say I'm supposed to drop off oranges at the Walmart in Orlando. But I dropped the oranges off at the Walmart in Miami. So Orlando is missing their oranges. They can't sell the oranges, so they are losing out on money. So who you think gonna pay for that? The trucking company. So you need to have some kind of errors and omissions policy saying, hey, if I make a mistake, y'all will cover me because mistakes are going to happen. Another type of insurance you want to make sure you have is going to be called business interruption or business loss insurance. Okay. So if something were to happen and you cannot conduct business. So if you have let's just say I'm a barber and my barbershop got broken into and they took all the chairs out and just damaged the barbershop. Okay. Well, let's say it's going to take me 2 months to, let me give you a better example. I had a hair salon, right? Hair salon, in like a shopping complex. There's a shopping boutique next to us. Her boyfriend broke up, so someone, threw a cocktail bomb and burnt down the entire, her whole store burnt down, right? It's a three-level shopping center. No one else's store caught on fire, but there's something called smoke damage. Okay, so it was so much smoke damage that they had to come in and they had to take all of our fixtures out of our, so they had to take everything out the salon and they had to tear everything down they had to take all the sheetrock off. It was only just the studs and the walls, and they had to put all the walls and the sheetrock and paint everything back up because something called smoke damage. Never heard of smoke damage a day in my life. However, I'm the kind of person, when I get to my insurance agent, I want coverage for everything. Okay, so luckily I had fire coverage, right? So a lot of people in the complex, they didn't have fire coverage. So they had to actually pay someone to take everything out of their business. My insurances had a company, they have smoke companies. A company came in for like a week and took all the fixtures out, took everything out, stored everything for us, cleaned the smoke and the soot off, and then whatever was the furniture that got damaged in the smoke, they cut us a check for that. And then once the landlord had to do all of the remodel as far as the floors and the sheetrock, once they got everything back put in, the smoke company came back, put all the fixtures up, and there we go. Fire coverage, okay? Well, we were out of business for 60 days. Well, can most businesses function not getting income for 60 days? No. But guess who had tax returns? Hey, guess who had bank statements? Hey. So in business loss or business interruption insurance, they will pay you for you not being able to work. So we had to give our tax return. So this is what we normally made this. So last year, this month, we made this. And last year, this month, we made this. Here's our tax return. Here's our profit and loss statement. Boom. Here's a check. You weren't able to be open for business for 2 months. Here's your check. Because it wasn't your fault that the complex caught on fire. See, that's why insurance is important. Now, what's the likelihood of that happening to you? 1 in a million. But if it happens, do you want to be protected, or do you want to have to incur that cost? Because see, most businesses will go out of business in 2 months, because guess who's not going to work for free? Them employees. I have never met an employee who's going to work for free. They're going to ask for their check early. They're going to ask for a payday advancement. I mean, every week they're going to have an issue. But baby, come Friday at 5 o'clock, the check can't even be late. Okay, so you will lose your staff. You will lose your employees if you can't pay them. Inventory ain't free. Don't nobody want to hear about your problems, because everybody else got their own problems. Okay, so when it comes to insurance, whatever kind of industry you're in, you want to make sure that you have insurance, because that's another layer of protection. When something goes wrong, I'm still covered. Okay, so LLC formation, EIN, business bank account that reflects the income of the business, operating agreement, and business insurance. Okay, so once we have all of that, now we have our business structure. Okay, now everything I just said we have to do. So forming the LLC, you're going to pay a filing fee, and you may have to pay either an attorney or a company to form your LLC. That's a tax write-off. Okay, the insurance you're going to pay every month, that's a tax write-off. Okay, these banking fees. So if y'all haven't checked your bank statement, some banks charge you for deposits. Banks are going to have a monthly fee. So any kind of fees associated with your banking, that's going to be a tax write-off. If y'all have Square, PayPal, Stripe, They are always taking either a percentage of each transaction. If you're using a regular merchant, like a credit card merchant machine from your bank, they're going to take their fee out at the end of the month. Depending on how many credit card transactions you're running, I've seen 5 and 6 figure credit card credit card transaction fees a month. That's a tax write-off. Okay, so you want to make sure that every expense that you are using for your business, you're keeping a record of it. Okay, so we're going to structure ourselves correctly. We're going to have all the income hit the bank, but we're going to keep a record of everything that we're spending on our business so that we pay our due share of taxes, but not more than what our due share of taxes is. Okay, taxes are. Oh my English. Oh my gosh. So if we have any kind of apps that we use, any kind of software that we're using, and there's a monthly fee, all of that is going to be a tax write-off. Any kind of payroll expenses, inventory, anything that you are using for your business, okay, is going to be a tax write-off. If you want to know specifically what kind of tax deductions you can have for your business, I have like 26 different industry tax deduction guides on my website. It'll walk you through everything of what's a tax deduction, so you can keep all of these things together. So at the end of the year, yes, we have all of our income, but then now we have all of our expenses. So we know what our true numbers are. We know that if we're growing, and then we also know, what is that tax liability going to be? Because now that we are multi-million-dollar business owners, there is no such thing as a tax refund. Okay, we are writing a check to the real alphabet boys. Okay, the I, the R, and the S, and they want their check, right? So we gotta change our mindset to know we gotta write this check at the end of the year. So we want to make sure that we're writing the check for us, but not more than what it needs to be. Okay, so if you are seeing any kind of increase in sales, if you are seeing any kind of growth, so maybe you're seeing, hey, like every month, like I'm just getting more sales and more sales and more sales. I'm making more money and more money and more money. When you start seeing that transition happen, because in the beginning we're thugging it out, we're trying to make $1.15. We're trying to keep this bad boy afloat. Eventually, you're gonna hit that tide where all those late nights, all that sacrifice, all the planning, it just hits at one time. And it's just like, wait a minute. This month, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, it's just going to take off, right? So I'm telling you, when the stuff starts taking off, what to do first, okay? We're not going to go ball out. We're not going to go on vacation. We're not going to the mall. We're not doing all that stuff, okay? When you see your income increasing, you need to be at your CPA's or accountant's office, or you need to be finding that CPA or accountant's office, okay? I always recommend on Instagram, the Tax CEO or Sassy Accountant, two females that are awesome, budget friendly. But once you hit that wave of seeing the increased business, we now got to have a plan for what we're going to do with this income, okay? Because what we don't want to do is spend it and then realize, ooh, all that money wasn't mine. I owe the IRS, and now we coming up with all of that, right? So at the Tax CEO, at the Sassy Accountant, if you are a business owner, we need to be having a CPA or an accountant, okay? Not a tax preparer. Keisha and them is good at that tax place, but we need to have a person that has gone to college for accounting, okay? And they have either an accounting degree or they've gone on and taken a test for a CPA, okay? So there are going to be additional expenses, things like depreciation. There's going to be additional things that you're going to be able to write off that they will know. And once you start making more money, they need to know what's going on so they can tell you what you need to do with the money. For example, let's just say that you need to buy some equipment or some inventory, right? But you're not really pressed to buy it because you can buy it now, you can buy it in 3 months. Like, it really doesn't matter. It's not going to affect your business, but it may affect your tax bill. Okay, so if you're letting your CPA or your accountant know, hey, I know you're used to, me making $100,000 a year, but this year I may be at like at 350 or 500 because like God is good all the time, right? So they're going to tell you, ooh, well, if that's the case, you may need to dump a lot of money and let's go re-up and stock up on some inventory to kind of get some of that income out so we can write it off for this year. Or if you're in real estate, right? And maybe you had, you were able to sell a lot of property. There's something called a capital gains tax, right? So they're going to be able to tell you either what deductions you need to take, what additional taxes you're looking at in paying, and tell you how to zig and zag. Well, let's go ahead and spend some money. Let's go ahead and maybe buy a truck, and let's use some depreciation. Do you need to remodel your office or your building? Like, you need to start doing something for your business now. Or, hey, if this is the case, wait, let's save all this for next year. But not doing the right thing at the right time can give you a 6-figure tax bill, okay? And I'm not telling you something that I Googled, okay? I'm telling you something that I was slapped with. So it is very important that you know when that increase is coming. Do I have a team of people that can make sure that my business is together? So if you follow any kind of, high paid professional athlete, okay, so like a Tom Brady or Russell Wilson, these people are going to be paying millions of dollars a year just on people for their body, okay? They have a masseuse, they have a trainer, they have, a kinesiologist, they're going to have a chef, they're going to have all these people who their job is, they're going to have a team of people to keep their body in tip-top shape. Keep their mind in tip-top shape, okay? Every multi-million-dollar CEO is going to have some kind of mentor, coach. How do you expand your horizons? How do you think bigger? Someone to help them grow, because the company can only grow as big as the CEO is growing, right? So you got to have a team around your business. Let me add me another circle, right? So we got to now have a team. We got our LLC, we got our EIN, we got our operating agreement, we got our business bank account that reflects the income of the businesses. We have our insurance. Now we got our team, okay? So your team is going to be your insurance agent. You need to go find you a commercial insurance agent in the state that you're in, depending on the industry that you're in. If you have any kind of specialty insurance, so like car rentals, a specialty insurance, security will be a specialty insurance. Specialty insurance, you need to just Google that, but you need to have a commercial insurance agent where you have their number like locked into your phone. Okay. So, hey, this is my industry. This is what I'm doing. What coverages, do I need to have for this industry? You don't know what you need. I don't know nothing about no fire, no smoke. So you need to tell them, this is what I'm doing. This is where my business is. What do I need? Okay. Or what's common for my industry? You need an accountant or a CPA. Okay. Because you are writing checks every year from now on. So our goal is to make that check as small as possible. You're going to need some kind of business coach. Okay. So yes, you're figuring it out. Like, yes, you got this, but you need some kind of like business coach, business mentor. Who do you know is either in your industry killing it or in a similar industry killing it that can stretch your belief, okay? Because you may be cool with $1 million a year, but your coach going to tell you, baby, not $1 million a year, $1 million a month. Like, come on, we're going to be making NBA checks in this business. Come on. So you need to have a business coach, someone who's going to stretch your mind, stretch your belief. Then you need to have a business attorney, okay? Because you are going to come up against a lawsuit, a disgruntled employee, a business opportunity. You're going to want to run some things and have a professional opinion as to what do I need to do for this? Or you may be coming up against a problem. Okay, there may be a problem, and that attorney can kind of tell you, hey, I see this coming. Let's go on ahead and maybe form another company and run things through here. Let's go on ahead. They're going to tell you how to zig and zag. Okay, it's like running a play in basketball, running a play in football. Like, okay, this is coming. How do I protect myself? So some of that excess money is going to be paying for your team, because it's going to take a team of people to make sure that all these moving components are working, because you're normally going to be in the business putting out the fires, handling the complaints, dealing with the delayed inventory, trying to hire employees, coming up with the marketing plan, trying to go network and get some new contracts. You don't have time to be able to handle all the outside stuff. Okay, so a CPA accountant can be anywhere, because taxes is federal. So you can just, like I said, SASE accountant, tax CEO. Tyler McBloom is a good one. He's going to cost you a pretty penny, but he's good. He's a big boy. Or you can just Google business CPA, and just, you can find someone, if you want someone in your area, you want to just find someone on Instagram, you find someone on Google, but just find you someone, do a consultation. So when you're meeting someone, like, you paying them, so they work for you, right? So you want to have a consultation. How do you feel? Like, what is the vibe you're getting? Do you mix? Everyone in business, you're not going to mix. Like, I don't really like how you operate. You don't like how I operate. In business, everything is like a relationship. Okay. So your CPA, honey, that is the best friend that you're going to hate. Okay. So you need to be on good terms with them. Everything has shut down since COVID, so everyone is doing Zoom consultations. So pay for a consultation with a CPA or an accountant. Let them know what you're doing for your business, what your plans are, and pay them for their time. They're going to kind of tell you like how to keep your records for them, what to look out for. And you're just kind of, sizing them up. Are they in the budget? You may get you someone that's for now. And I like that person, but, they're not quite in the budget. You need to interview these people. Same with your insurance agent. They kind of dry, or she's like, oh my God, but you need this, this, and this, and this, and this, business attorney. Just if you're a brand new business, you want to just maybe just run some ideas by, you can always book an hour consultation with your girl, or find you someone that you mesh with, someone that you're like, hey, this person knows what they're talking about. Okay. You need to always have a business attorney in your state, to where if this lawsuit comes, you already have someone to go to. You don't want to get the lawsuit and then some people can't handle pressure, right? So the lawsuit going to take you 5 days just to gather yourself from reading it and come back up for air. Now you got to be online, on Google, trying to find you an attorney, and it's just too much stress. When no one is stunting you right now, no one is suing you, there's no problem. Go find you a business attorney in your state. Okay, in your city. You can go sit down and talk to. Who do you like? So when something comes, all I gotta do is hand it off. Okay. If you're in Houston, Texas, I will. I'm gonna add my attorney Derek Dion. I'll add him. I'll add his Instagram. But baby, Derek, here's this lawsuit, Derek. No to all your questions. Don't even call me about selling. I ain't doing nothing but here. You want to be able to hand off a lot of the extra stuff that you ain't got to deal with, so that your mind can be free, to go ahead and make this money, make these sales, get this thing going. So you got to have your team. Now, if our business has assets, okay, so if we own a lot of equipment, if we own a lot of machinery, if we're making a lot of, income, if we have any kind of commercial vehicles, vans, fleets, if we have property, if we have a lot of assets, then we need to have our structure different. So this is going to be the asset protection to protect us. Hey, so if we have a business that has assets, we don't want to do business in the same LLC that has assets. Okay. So this will be our LLC if we just have one business. if we have a business that has assets, we need 2 LLCs. Okay, so the reason why we have 2 LLCs, I gotta get my cups. Hold on, I'm gonna get my cups. Let me get my cups. Okay, so I have Joyce Trucking, right? Joyce Trucking is slinging and banging. I got me a contract with FedEx, Amazon. I own trucks. I own trailers. I own everything, right? But I have all these assets in the same LLC that's doing business. Well, any LLC that's doing business, you are exposing yourself to a lawsuit. Either we can have a contract dispute, we can have an upset customer. Like, just because you get sued, one, it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong, okay? There are frivolous lawsuits all the time. People can just get mad, they don't agree with something. Number two, you may make a mistake, okay, and you get sued. Mistakes happen, okay? But if you're in business, you are eventually going to get sued. Like, it's just a part of business. I'm not saying you're going to lose the lawsuit. I'm just saying that someone is going to sue you, okay? So I am Joyce Trucking. I have several trucks, vans, hot shots, the whole nine. And let's just say I get into a contract dispute where, you know, the Walmart is mad that I dropped the oranges off at the Orlando Walmart, not the Miami Walmart. So they want to go up on my fee. I'm like, well, no. And so we have this big contract dispute, and I lose because I do not follow the whatever was the contract. I just got mad, so I'm not doing it, right? Well, if they sue my LLC and they win, they can then take all of my assets. However, if I formed my LLC like this, so here's Joyce Trucking, okay? But now I have a holding company. The holding company doesn't do business. The holding company is not entering into contracts. The holding company does nothing but hold the assets, meaning the trucks are going to be titled with the DMV and registered in the holding company's name. If I had real estate, the deed will be in the holding company's name. A holding company is going to hold the assets, okay? Now, I'll have a lease agreement between my LLC and the holding company to be able to use the asset, okay? So now Joyce Trucking gets sued. Well, okay, well, you can sue me, but you're not going to get any of my assets. You can sue me, but you'll get whatever cash is in here, but you won't get my assets, okay? You probably spent a lot of time and a lot of money acquiring the asset. So if I lost everything and had to start all over, that's going to be a harder job to do versus if this company got sued and lost while I'm already in the lawsuit. I'm already forming. You already know, I said I formed 2 companies at the same time just in case, because, you know, your girl's never caught slipping. So when I formed my dealers, I got 2 dealerships. I got 2 sales tax permits. I got 2 finance licenses. I formed 2 businesses instead of 1. That's just me. You ain't got to do that, but I'm never going to get caught slipping. I'm never going to not have my cash flow. Okay, so let's just say you listen to me, and we got Joyce Trucking, and we got Joyce Trucking too. She just sitting up here asleep, right? So Joyce Trucking is in this dispute. It's in litigation. I'm already seeing, I already see where this is going. So I'm going to just stop doing business in Joyce Trucking. I'm going to go ahead and re-up on Joyce Trucking number 2. She already got her DOT. She got everything she needs. I'm still rolling. I'm still in business. I'm still doing my cash flow. I'm making my money. Payroll's being paid. My mortgage being paid. These kids still in private school. No luxury cars being turned in. I'm still going. Okay? Versus I have everything in one LLC. I didn't want to pay that extra filing fee to get that second holding company. So I just said I was going to just do it in one. And then once I got big, I would then change, but I never changed. And then I get sued, and then I lose. And then now I lose my money and I lose my assets, baby, if you're in this lawsuit and you're losing this, you're probably already about to file bankruptcy. So this credit is shot, or our credit is already extended. So now we can't even get a loan. So now how do I start my business from scratch? Okay. So that is why we want to have a holding company. But like anything, we got to run the holding company like it's a holding company. Okay, so a holding company has to actually own the asset. It's not just forming the LLC and I'm calling it a holding company. If you own trucks, you're going to have to, on the back of the title, write the holding company's name. You're going to sell to the holding company. You got to take that title, and then you got to go to the DMV and register that car or that truck in the holding company's name. And same thing works for real estate. If you own a home and you're renting it, right? You're renting the home, but you own the home, and we're signing that lease agreement with that tenant in the same LLC that owns the home. Well, the tenant falls on the steps and breaks her neck, and she sues you for $2 million and she wins. Well, your insurance policy only covered you for $1 million, so now you're on the hook for that extra $1 million. Well, what is your tenant gonna do? Sue you? Right. Oh, you own this house? Okay, let me go ahead and take that house and sell it and get my judgment. Okay. So same thing. If I have my management LLC that's signing all the contracts, but I have a different LLC that's holding my real estate. This company does no business. It's not entering into a contract. It's not doing any deals. It's not selling anything. It's not doing anything. It is just holding the assets. Okay, we got to have our lease agreement. Okay, so if I am renting, if this LLC is holding the assets and this company is using the asset, there has to be a lease agreement, right? So every month, management LLC is going to be paying the holding company LLC $1,000 a month for the mortgage to be able to lease this house. There needs to be a lease agreement signed between the two LLCs that you own. There needs to be the the management company LLC needs to be writing a check or doing a wire transfer to the holding company's bank account for the rent for using the house. So when you set it up, you got to set it up and you got to run it effectively. Okay. So if the tenant falls her neck and gets sued and the attorney finds out, wait a minute, I'm suing a company that doesn't have assets. They were smart. I'm suing a company that doesn't have anything. How am I going to buy my yacht and I'm not suing the right company? So you know how I told you this is going to be our little this is our little protection. So when the attorney finds out that you were smart and that you set everything up right, and they are not going to be able to buy that Bentley on the settlement, and they cannot upgrade their yacht, they're going to be mad, right? So they're going to try to do something called pierce the corporate veil. Well, what's that? Well, pierce the corporate veil is you say you an LLC, but you really not an LLC. Okay, so they're going to try to come through our armor, right? So I'm doing the scenario of the girl fell and broke her. Okay, so I am a tenant. I'm the homeowner in this incident. My tenant fell and broke her neck, but my management LLC didn't own the asset. My holding company owned the asset. What the attorney's going to do is once they realize you were smart, well, forget this LLC. They're going to try to get this one. Well, how do you do that? You pierce the corporate veil, meaning you didn't do all this stuff. I'm going to inch my way so I can get to what you own. So they're going to first ask for your insurance. Well, where's the insurance on the house? Oh, I didn't get the insurance. Well, that means this little wall is gone. They're going to ask for the operating agreement. Oh, I didn't know I needed the operating agreement. They done pierced through that wall. Okay. Then they're going to say, okay, well, let's pull the business bank account, right? They're going to pull your business bank account. They're going to go through all your transactions. We got haircut, and we got nails, and we got Disneyland, and we got lashes out the business bank account. What? Oh, so you're not really a LLC. You and the LLC are really the same thing. So they're gonna come right through here. They're itching their way back to get to the money. Okay, that's why forming the structure is like the first part. Running it, following the corporate formalities is the second part. If we don't run it correctly, now we had a holding company, right? Well, they're going to go pull the deed. They're going to see what name is actually on the deed. If you didn't register the house in the holding company's name, they done pierced through this wall, right? Now, they're going to be looking like, okay, well, if you're saying it's the holding company, where's the lease agreement? Oh, you have a lease agreement because you done went and you done typed it up last night? Okay, cool. Let me pull the holding company's bank account records and let me see these lease deposits for the last 6 months. Oh, the holding company didn't have a bank account? So then how did the holding company lease the house to the LLC? Oh, y'all was playing. So you done formed the LLC, you done paid the attorney, you done did everything but didn't do nothing. And instead of you being able to be in a lawsuit, hand the paperwork to your attorney and tell him, baby, listen here, don't call me. He gonna email you, well, I got Derek, don't call me. The answer is no. I don't care what they say, it's no. It's no. It's no. It's no. But I'm still able to sleep at night because I know my stuff is set up right. You can't get through this structure, right? I'm doing my stuff right. If you're doing it wrong, now you stressed. Now your attorney's telling you, oh my gosh, you don't have a lease agreement? You were making the payments for leasing the house? You didn't have the insurance? You didn't have the operating agreement? It looks like they're going to be able to pierce the corporate veil and get to all of your assets. So the money in the savings account, they're going to take that. Them luxury cars, oh, how many are paid off? They're going to take that. What other property you have that's paid off, they're going to take that. And as you're getting that bad news, so I've been having these monkeys. It's going to be called stress, okay? So I'm still having to run my business with all this. I'm about to lose I done worked 20 years. I done sacrificed going to happy hour to get all these assets and get my credit together. And you're going to tell me because I half-assed did one thing that I'm about to lose everything? So now I'm stressed. I'm stressed just going through, not even knowing what's going to happen, and I'm stressed. Now, when you stress, what's going to happen? You're going to be arguing with your spouse. Y'all not going to be getting together. These kids going to be on your last nerve. It seems like everybody needs some money, and you trying to break it to your wife, and we about to lose everything. And depending on what kind of woman you have, she may be saying deuces. When you got to take back that luxury car, and then she can't go to Neiman's. She really mad. Now you're not having sex. So now you're just living in hell. Why? All because you didn't have the right business structure. Okay, that's why I'm saying spend the money and form the LLC correctly. Spend the money and get the virtual address. Spend the money and update have the correct address on your LLC document. So when the lawsuit comes, you're already ready. Spend the money and have the insurance. Okay, spend the money and have the operating agreement. Take the time and open up multiple bank accounts. If you're having a holding company, form it correctly. Every LLC requires an annual report to be filed, right? If your LLC wasn't active when this started, baby, I'm about to lose everything because I didn't pay that $50 fee and file that report to make sure that my LLC was active. You can spend the money now or you can spend the money later, but you're going to spend it. The problem is if you spend it later, it's going to be more. It's going to be that divorce. It's going to be a bankruptcy. You about to be having migraines, ulcers, you got medical bills, a heart attack. I don't know how you can handle stress. Some people can handle stress, and some people can have a gun to their head, okay? It just goes from sugar to shit so quick. Okay, I didn't Google this. I'm not making it up, I've lived this life. But when you structure it correctly with all of the chaos going on, employees getting paid, inventory getting purchased, that mortgage getting paid, them kids still in private school and ballet and football, that wife still on Amazon and at Neiman's and at her girls' trip, so she ain't worried about you. She ain't in your business. You making more deals in your other business. Life is still going on in the midst of chaos. When you are running a business, you're always going to be in chaos. You're always putting out fires. There's something always wrong or always going off in business. That's just called business, right? But when you have your things done correctly, you can still live and thrive in the chaos, okay? That is why it is so important to run everything correctly, follow your corporate formalities, spend a little extra money now because you're saving the heartache, you're saving the heart attack, you're saving the divorce, you're saving the kids being ripped out of private school, you're saving the heartache, you're saving these attorney's fees, you're saving it. You think you're spending it, you're really saving it from what you're going to spend 5 years from now because you're about to create a mess. Okay? So, not to, run anyone's parade, but, that is the importance of having the proper business structure. Okay. So if you have any questions, I told you to put some questions in this little thing and I didn't even look at it. So hold on. Okay. What is a good company to purchase a virtual address? I always say Regis or Opus. What if your business isn't making enough? Some seasons are very slow when I have 0 clients. Okay. So Glow by K Aesthetics. If our business is not making enough money, then we need to also be focusing on what we can be doing to get more clients. I would, of course, say book an hour consultation with me so we can get some clients in. But number 2, business owners, we may have to go through a season of no nails, no lashes, not being out at happy hour, not outside, not vacationing. Yeah, it's called putting in work and sacrifice. Okay, so my little young millennials, my little microwave society people, you are going to have to downsize. Okay, so if we're starting a new business and our clientele is just not all the way where it needs to be, you may need to turn in that car and get a smaller car note, not because you can't afford it, but if I can cut my car note in half, I can use that half of my money and knock out a bill, payroll, insurance, virtual address. When I started we had a hair boutique, then I started my hair salon, right? And I had me a little Jag, right? But I turned in my Jag and I got a Toyota Sequoia. A Toyota Sequoia? Sure did, because that cut my car note in half and I can use that other half to go towards rent, to go towards paying these bills to grow the salon, right? So when you can cut down on, baby, get you a strip lash, right? Don't do nails and pedicure. Do your own pedicure if you got to keep your nails. Find a cheaper makeup. Only don't buy any new bundles. Just get your hair done if you can once a month. Fellas, we ain't tricking. We not taking no one out, baby. I'm trying to get myself together. So if you can't see me out here for free, I just can't see you right now. You can even get you a roommate, downsize your townhouse to a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, be creative, but trim your fat. Get out of Starbucks, spending $4 or $5 every day. Then $4 or $5 adds up. Go to McDonald's or maybe start cook. Bring your lunch. Bring your lunch to work, right? Bring your lunch. Pack your little something. When I was in my little grind, I was doing ramen with some corn, right? Or back in my day, I'm old. So back in my day, Wendy's had a 99-cent menu. I used to give me two chicken nuggets, of fries, and a Diet Coke. That's when I was skinny, right? So you got to be able to cut down on your fat to put that money into your business, okay? Yes, you can apply for grants, and yes, you can apply for business credit and blah, blah, blah. But even with all of that, you're never going to have enough money for your business because it's always going to be growing. So you're going to have to trim some fat to be able to afford your virtual address, to do all that. But just know it's only going to be for a season, right? So I turned in my Jag XJL off the showroom floor and got my Toyota Sequoia, right? People laugh, oh my gosh, yeah, Sequoia, what's she doing? Boom, boom, boom. That was just for a season, right? Now, when the salons hit, I went from the Sequoia, to the Rolls Royce Ghost. But guess what? They're still talking. Well, what's she doing to get that? The same thing I was doing with the Sequoia. But I knew I'm only going to be in the Sequoia for a season. It's not going to be forever. You're only going to be in your one-bedroom apartment for a season. You're going to have no lashes just for a season. Once you get it right, you're going to come back bigger and stronger. But you got to, at least make that initial sacrifice to get the business up and going. Okay, so if you are not making sales, you got to get these sales in. Do you need to have a different account to pay employees? Yeah. Baby, let me tell you about these employees, okay? These employees are going to be slick, okay? Now, they are great. They are the heartbeat of the business. You are going to have a couple of bad apples. It happens to everyone. Employees are going to alter the check and change that amount and go to a little PLS check, cash in at night, and it's going to come out your account. I've had employees make up fake checks because, on your check is going to have your account and your routing number. So I always say have 4 bank accounts. You're going to have your income account. You're going to have your expense account. So your income account, all the income comes in, cash is deposited, credit card deposits go in there. All the accounts should be at the same bank. So all we're doing is like wire transfers, right? So then you're going to have an expense account or an operating account. You have a check card in this account, you have checks, and you're paying all of your bills. Your third account, if you have employees, will be your payroll account. You're going to write the employees' checks on this account. The IRS will have this account to be able to debit for the payroll taxes. So if an employee does fraud, so if they change the check amount, if they just make up checks and start writing checks on your behalf and the checks come through because the $10 bank teller wasn't checking the signature and wasn't checking that the logo was squished and blah, blah, blah. So now our account is a negative $10,000 because we had all this fraud. Well, yes, you can get that $10,000 back, but it may take you 2 weeks to 30 days before everything figures out what's going on. The question is going to be, can your business sustain that loss for 15 to 30 days? If that money's coming out of that income account, now we don't have any money to function. The landlord don't care. Inventory don't care. Employees don't care. No one cares about why you can't pay their bill, right? Now, if this happens on the payroll account, guess who's upset? Just the employees, but you're still having cash flow coming in. So I would rather tell my 15 employees, hey, old girl over there did check fraud, so don't even worry about cashing that check. I'm about to give y'all a cashier's check to go put in. Let me know what your bounce check or return check fee is. I'm going to add that to your cashier's check. And now I already know it's going to be a smaller amount going out than what's on my income. I can calculate all my losses, my damages, pay them employees this little cashier's check so they can move around, be out on Friday night. But my income is still coming in. Versus they hit that lick of my income account. Now I'm stuck. I can't operate. So the third account's going to be for the employees. I've also had the IRS miss a comma and take too much out for taxes. Yes, you can get it back, but they the real alphabet boys. They don't care. It's going to be a delay. So I would rather this one account be negative versus I actually lose my cash flow. Okay, so we got income, operating expense, or or payroll. The fourth one's going to be tax/savings. So like I said, everyone on this live is a multi-million-dollar business owner That means come tax time, we are writing checks to the real alphabet boys. We aren't getting refunds. We are writing checks. Okay, so when we have a big month or a heavy month, we want to put some money aside. So when it's time to write that check, we already have a little money saved up that's going to help cushion that blow. Okay. Savings. In every industry, it's not going to rain. It's not going to be, a busy month every single month. Some industries are seasonal. Everyone's going to have like those heavy months, and then everyone's going to have those skim months. Okay. So the tax/savings is when I have my heavy cash flow month, I'm putting some money aside. So on my slower months, like in the hair industry, the summertime is slow. People getting braids, these badass kids is out, so people in camps, out of town. So those months are kind of slow, okay? So if you have a slow month in your industry, you may need a little help to help you with the rent. You may need a little help, like you may need to pull an extra $500 to cover payroll. We have some kind of reserve to go to. So those would be the 4 accounts. What if okay, I did that one. Can you explain the 8832 tax form? Is the 8832 tax form? Let's Google. Let's Google. 8832. Oh, the entity classification. Okay. So, for tax purposes, the IRS treats, make this simple. If you're an LLC and you're a single member LLC, then the IRS is going to treat you like a sole proprietor for tax purposes, meaning this. On your personal tax return or your 1040, you're going to report your business income on that return on a Schedule C. So if I am Joy's Lashes, I'm going to have a Schedule C on my personal tax return, and the income and expenses will be filed on the business taxes will be filed on my personal tax return. If I am a multi-member LLC, meaning that I have a partner, I'm going to file something called a partnership return or a 1065. I will then get something called a K1. A K1 is going to be kind of like a 1099 form. So let's just say I have a partner in Joy's Lashes, and so the business made $100,000 and we're 50-50. I'm going to get a K1 for $50,000 and my partner gets a K1 for $50,000. Okay. And I take that K1 and I file that K1 on my 1040 or my personal tax return. So it's kind of like it's a form I'm going to put with the other forms I have for my personal tax return. So that partnership tax return, business returns are always due a month before personal. So March 15th is going to be the deadline for partnership and S Corp tax return. So that partnership will file the return in March 15th, and then I will take that K1 to file on my personal return on April 15th. If I file for an extension, then the business will file the return September 15th, and then I'll file it on October 15th. Now, once your business is starting to make about $60,000 to $80,000 in profit, not gross, meaning after all your expenses, you're bringing home about $60,000 or $80,000, you are going to want to look into being taxed as something called an S Corp. Okay, so an S Corp is not a business entity, meaning I'm not going down to the Secretary of State to file an S Corp. I'm filing an LLC or a C Corp, and I want to tell the IRS, hey, I'm an LLC. However, I want to be taxed as an S Corp. Now, the benefit of that is that all LLC owners or members are going to pay a 15.3% self-employment tax. Okay, so if I made $100,000 at Joy's Lashes, I'm going to pay a 15.3% tax on the profits. Okay, so LLC owner doesn't get a check. They're not paying any kind of payroll taxes. So that's the IRS's way of coming in and getting their taxes from the LLC. If you are an S Corp, you do not have to pay that 15.3 or 15.4% self-employment tax. However, you have to be on payroll. Okay, so you have to be on payroll with a payroll check and payroll taxes being taken out every 2 weeks. So you are going to be paying payroll taxes, but you can be creative. You can take your income. I normally just say cut your income in half, right? Take half your income on a W-2 paycheck and then take the other half of your income as a distribution where the company is writing you a check. So you're not eating up your entire salary on the payroll taxes, okay? So that is the benefit of being taxed as an S Corp. And then, so once your business is making about $60,000 to $80,000, that's when you can really afford, I say afford to be an S Corp, because one, you're going to have to be on payroll. So you're going to have a payroll company issuing these checks and taking out the payroll taxes. Number two, your LLC is now going to be filing a separate return. So if I'm being taxed as an S Corp, the IRS will refer to my entity as an S Corp. So I'm going to file something called an 1120S. That's my tax return. So the business will file the tax return. Once again, like the partnership, I'm going to get a K1, and then I file that K1 on my personal taxes. On average, depending on how much money your business is making, what kind of deductions are required for your business, how many different line items, or if you're having your CPA accountant do the bookkeeping, the average business tax return is going to run you between $750 and about $3,000. Okay, so you're going to have that additional expense for the return. You're going to have the additional expense for having a payroll company issue the checks. You're going to have an additional expense of having to pay those payroll taxes every 2 weeks. Okay, so that expense normally is not outweighed by that 15.3% self-employment tax until your business is around that $60,000 to $80,000 profit take home. I know it was a lot, but I mean, it's just, I hit something. My lives always. Okay. So whenever I hit my screen on my lives just, everything on my screen is blank. So I can't more comments, and I'm not going to be able to end this live. I'm going to have to turn my phone off to end the live because my little iPhone is janky. So, baby, I'm just running my mouth. It's 11:30. Okay, so because it is late, I will conclude this live, but we want to make sure, let me pull my Picasso back up, that we have this scenario here, and we're not getting our corporate, they're not piercing our corporate veil by us not having what we need. Okay, so if you, I have a business structure webinar that kind of goes over all this in more detail on my website. I have the mini webinars on my website that will show you how to make any of these changes you need to make as far as either getting a virtual address or amending your LLC. I have a business structure consultation where I will kind of hear what you have going on in your business and kind of tell you the best way to kind of structure all of that. If you need an operating agreement, I do have those legal contract templates in my contract library. All of my men and people who want to get organized, we need to go ahead and get this vault so we can keep all of our corporate documents and our passwords and everything on one spot. And then because it's tax time, everyone needs to go get this tax deduction guide so we can make sure that we are keeping up with all the expenses that are going to be related to our business. Okay, so I will try to save this live if I can get off. Everyone have a good night, and I will see you at the bank. I am still live. How do I get off this live?